Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. Welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. And I am the man whose name is in the title and, who can, introduce himself as such, MrWarrenHayes. And I want to welcome you to another recording, another live edition right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. I'm super excited. As I am every day. I've talked about this before. I've mentioned it a couple of times before. I still get like that spark, those heebie-jeebies, that excitement, getting into the podcast. And to me, that's just sign that everything that I'm doing here every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here live, is still meaningful to me, and that I put the effort, put the energy to try and come to you and all have a good time talking about professional wrestling, because that's what we do here. If you're stumbling in here for the first time, like unaware, what is the WarrenHayes show here on the YouTubes? And then you pop in and you're like, look at this wacky gentleman with his emoji hat and the large gleases. And like, yeah, well, we're talking about pro wrestling. Ooh, it so happens I know nothing about professional wrestling, but I will enjoy listening to this man. There you go. So, see, that's what where was I going with this bit? Anyway, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everyone's here tonight joining us live here once again, because we've got another packed house full of people who have decided to take some time out of their Thursday evening to join us here. Robert Larry, for instance. Robert's always here, and so is Kelly Tonjes. Good to see you both. And I'm not saying they're always here. It's like, won't they ever go away? That's not what I meant. Don't misconstrue me. I'm happy that you guys are here like consistently. You're always the first here. It's fantastic. Nice to see you both again this week. Thank you very much for being here. Justin Firestein, nice to see you too, friend. Our boy Ben, Phantomark82. Very, very short sidebar. It just so happens that Ben and I, we live within the same within the same city limits. And I got to meet Ben this past weekend. We went out, had a nice cup of coffee. Don't worry, Dad. I took precautions, meeting an internet person for the first time. We went into a very public space. Don't worry, Mom. That was good. It was good to meet our musician boy, Ben. Follow him on Facebook, facebook.com/phantomark82. What are you doing? Got William Davis, who's here. See, when I talk about people taking the time out of their day, look at William here, who pops in and says, I can only be here a half an hour. I'm on break from work, but I just, wanted to spend a little time here before going to tend to a $10,000 rent out. Look, I appreciate whatever the work you're doing, tending rent outs. That's fantastic. But you see, thank you very much for being here. Flowman is here as well. Good to see you, Flowman. Nice to see you. DGMC is here as well. Mark Forbes, everyone. Look at that. It's fantastic stuff. I'm very excited. Very happy to see everyone here tonight. And if you're enjoying this so far, if you're like, gosh darn this Warren guy, then why don't you give the video a thumbs up? Simple, easy way to help out the show. Just give it a thumbs up if you're watching live on YouTube, or even if you're watching on demand. That kind of stuff helps out tons afterwards as well. Just drop a like. That's all you do. You put a thumb on the video and YouTube likes it, and like, hey, let's push this video out more. People seem to like it, and that's cool. And if you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down too. But I highly suggest this thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? I'm already thirsty. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, because the MrWarrenHayes Show is available on all podcast formats as well. Well, formats. There's not tons of podcast formats. What am I talking about? Applications is the word I was looking for. Then please go right ahead and that's it. Just go right ahead and leave us a review, a like, subscription, whatever you can do to source some love there as well. It's very appreciated. Spooky season, October. It's coming around. Look at all these great spooky things I've set up to make to make everything feel to make everything look and feel festive here. Just realize this: the chat room isn't popping up there. It should pop up live now. Wasn't paying attention. Look at me. It'll pop up. It's okay. Everything's all right. Live show and whatnot. Hey, beltobells.com. That's where you need to go for your women's wrestling wire. All the stuff you want to talk about in regards to women's wrestling and the like. YouTube.com/ you can also do youtube.com/beltobells. We got tons of interviews there that we conducted for the PWI 500 women who ended up on the list. And very, very shortly, we've got some exciting stuff coming up for the PWI Women's 150. That's right. 100 last year, 150 this year. Very, very exciting stuff. Hope you guys are around for that. Beltobells.com, youtube.com/beltobells, or over on Twitter @beltobells. That stuff, that's what works here as well. You all know there's a Discord by now. Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. Link is in the description. Our boy Nightbot in the chat also will occasionally remind you that you should join the Discord and come talk about professional wrestling with really cool people, the kind of cool people that hang out here in the chat. And, I would dare say even cooler people as well. Well, not cooler, but there's equally cool. That was a mistake. That was poorly phrased. They're equally cool people who aren't necessarily here live, but who end up in the Discord at any given time of day. There's always great wrestling talk going on around there. And that's cool. Everything. It's very cool. You know what else is cool? The post show that I do every Thursday after I'm done with the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper. I head on over for a members only stream. So if you want to become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show and support the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, which is fantastic, become a member, join, you get access to some emotes for the live shows, and you get to come hang out with me and the rest of the members after, where we talk about more wrestling. We take some Discord calls. We lots of interaction with the live chat. And tonight, look, there's so many topics happening in wrestling these days. It's an open mic night. Everyone gets to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Isn't that great? I'm just opening the floodgates. So that's fantastic. Of course, it's fantastic. So yeah, that's a good way to show support for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Plus, you can also leave a super chat, and I will read your question, comment, mood on the air as we go along. I want to say hello to, look at this. We got Lord Tebow Baggins who's here. How you doing, Tebow? Nice to see you. And Heather is here. Look at that. Fun, full show. Fun stuff. Are we ready to get to it? Just about. Yeah, we're just... Sometimes I embarrass myself when I do live shows like this, and I'm not, and I'm clicking on things, but I'm not clicking on the right things, like a good old fashioned 50-year-old guy should. I'm not 50 yet. To be fair, I've had a really bad day with allergies. I've really had a terrible day with allergies today. I don't know if you guys get afflicted with seasonal allergies really bad, but autumn, the fall, at this time of year, it's just awful for me. Hey, Tebow Baggins has become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Challenge. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Hope to see you there later for the post show. Let's see. What exactly am I doing here? Oh, it's going to be a classic one tonight. Let's just go to the weekly wrestling inspection. That's how I call it. Oh boy. Let's start. Let's kick it off. Let's get things going. I'm glad to see that there are other allergy sufferers out there. Man, today was monstrous. And in my shoot job today, my regular work, I was hosting an event my company's international, so I was hosting like a webinar, a web seminar, with everyone in the company. And my eyes were like out to here. I had like a box of Kleenex like right here, and then I had the pile of used Kleenex like about this high, right? It was bad stuff. Let me give you a quick G1 update as we go on. The New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 31 is underway right now. What's going on right now? We are heading into the final third. The final third of the tournament. Well, the final third of the tournament started. Right? Yeah, there's about 3 matches left. We're in the last third of the tournament already there. And I've been covering the G1 on the channel. Been doing updates every 2 days, every 2 days of action. Once Block A and Block B have each have a night, I pop on the live stream. I give you my thoughts, talk about the matches, how things are progressing. So I'm not going to do a deep dive as I do on those, because it's very much a deep dive that I do. I'll just skim over some stuff, but if you want to listen to the rest, I've got a playlist set up on YouTube where you can listen to everything in order, and you can also listen to it on audio podcast as well. It's all there. You don't have to search too far for it. Hey, but listen, G1 Block A to begin with. Right now, after the events that transpired today or last night, depending on how you see it. Anyway, on October 7, the dive is not deep. Neither is it deep or deep. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the bit now. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. After the events that happened today, Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi are at the top of the ladder in Block A with 10 points apiece. Great Khan is at 8. Kenta as well as Shingo Takagi and Tomohiro Ishii. So we have 4 guys tied at 8 points. Toru Yano's at 6. Yujiro Takahashi, Tanga Loa are at 4. In my opinion, and I say it's opinion because I'm terrible at math, but they are effectively eliminated. Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Beam, and Tanga Loa. There's no way there's no way they can have a turnaround here. Junior and Ibushi at 10 is very, very interesting. They've already fought each other, and Zack Sabre Jr., technically speaking, at this point, he's the odds-on favorite, and I'll tell you why. Zack has only lost one match. Has only lost one match so far. He holds a win over Kota Ibushi, so he has the tiebreaker here. He has 3 matches left: Kenta, Tanga Loa, and Yano. So those are his 3 matches. If you ask, Kenta might be the one match that is a little more up in the air, but in regards to Tanga Loa and Yano, you cannot not say that he's not the odds-on favorite on that one. I don't think. I think we're okay. I think he's going to pull through. By the way, Evan Wright, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Kota Ibushi is at 10 as well. But here's the thing, right? Is let's not forget, because of the fact that Tetsuya Naito had to forfeit and give everyone 2 points. Everyone has a basic 2 points, but only Zack Sabre Jr. has really worked for all of his 10 points so far. He's the only guy who fought Naito and won, and he's been winning everything else moving forward. So as it stands, I'm trying to remember who his only loss is against, because he defeated Naito, he defeated Shingo, he defeated Ibushi. And he defeated Great-O-Khan as well. Is it Ishii? I think his own. Yeah, it was against Ishii. So Ishii is is the only guy that he doesn't have the tiebreaker against, and Ishii's at 8. Ishii is coming back, is moving back up. So it's interesting to see, but I think there's a fair argument to be made here that Zack Sabre Jr. could very, very, very well be the winner of Block A, and it's been a great tournament for Zack at the same time. We got tournament Sabre on this one here, and that was really, really exciting. Kota Ibushi had a bit of a rocky start. He's got Great-O-Khan and Kenta left. Again, these are guys that he should be able to put away, but he did have a couple of surprise losses in this tournament, so we'll see what happens. Great-O-Khan has Ibushi and Shingo left. I think Great-O-Khan's run is done. I think it's a very respectable 8, a very, very strong start. But kind of like I was talking about in my predictions, not my predictions, in my reviews, his tournament was a little more unevenly balanced. He got a lot of sure things in his in the first half of the tournament, whereas the second half was a little more iffy. And now having Ibushi and Takagi left to go through, well, that's not an easy thing. Kenta could also potentially score some points here and maybe have a little come from behind run, because again, it is possible that he could go over Ibushi. This is, we're not in the presence of Golden God Kota Ibushi in this tournament. This isn't the guy who's won 2 consecutive G1s. He just isn't. It's not the same guy. He's not wrestling on the same level. So it is possible to imagine Kenta pulling one off here against Zack Sabre Jr. as well. I'm just not entirely unconvinced. Shingo has Okan, Tangaloa, and Yujiro left. Technically speaking, he should bowl through all of those guys. So, ultimately, I think it's going to come down to Zack Sabre Jr. and Shingo. I don't see Shingo losing any more matches. They did work the story of his arm that was completely massacred by Zack Sabre Jr. and then against Kenta, who added extra damage on it by doing concertos on it and whatnot. So his arm could be a factor moving forward, but again, not quite sure. Not quite sure it will, because technically he's got a pretty easy. He's heavily favored. Let's put it that way. Heavily favored over Great-O-Khan, Tangaloa, and Yujiro here. But hey, who knows, right? Chase Owens defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi earlier this week, so we might be in for some surprises yet. Ishii has Yujiro and Yano left. Technically, again, these should be wins, but Yano's sometimes has Ishii's number, so that could be possible. But Yano is not going to be a factor in the end here, outside of being a spoiler, maybe. And Yujiro and Tangaloa, like I said, they're eliminated. Yujiro has Ishii, Shingo left. Those are unsurmountable walls. Loa has Kenta, Zack Sabre Jr., and Shingo. I think he's done. But good tournament though by Tangaloa. I think he worked really hard. Both of the Gorillas worked really hard, that being said. The Shingo Khan match happened already? I might be losing my mind here. Are we sure? Hang on. I don't feel like it has. Because we got Great-O-Khan Ishii. Let me double check here. We'll go directly to the New Japan schedule. Let's see here. I could have messed up on my... Okay, that's going to be for B block, so that's not the block we're interested in. We're doing live research. Shingo versus Loa. No, Shingo versus Great Khan is on the 13th, next week. So I'm not utterly confused. There you go. There we go. Thank you for looking out for me, though. Block B, though, is an entirely different story. As much as we have like this discussion between Zack Sabre Jr. and I'll talk about it more on my recap that I'm going to be doing tomorrow for, the possibilities of, when we start getting into math and who's got which eliminations and so on and so forth. Now this is, that kind of stuff is starting to get interesting. Block B, though, that's a whole other 9 yards, and I think it's a little more clear-cut what's going on here. Jeff Cobb, Kazuchika Okada, both at 10 points. We've got Evil coming in next at 8 points. Hiroshi Tanahashi at 6. Then we have Sanada and Taichi at 4. Then Yoshihashi, Tama Tonga, Chase Owens, and Hiroki Goto all at 2. Those guys are all out. They're all eliminated. We're done. Their goose is cooked. The odds of Yoshihashi, Tama, Owens, and Goto coming back like with this big comeback story to win the block is highly unlikely. Jeff Cobb and Okada have been just blowing through the competition, and I expect them both to continue. Jeff Cobb and Okada are currently tied, and I think if there's 2 ways that Gato is going to book this, either one of 2 ways. He's either going to book them even Steven right down the middle till they get to the last night, which is when Cobb and Okada are scheduled to fight because they have a fight on the last night of the G1. Either even Steven or Okada's going to lose 1 match to get sort of like that come from behind thing against that, to sort of have like, it's do or die for Okada. And then Okada gets into the match with Cobb, beats Cobb. They're both at, the same amount of points then because Okada defeated him, but Okada has the tiebreaker, so he moves on. Like, it's either one of those two. And if I don't want to say that I know Gato personally because I don't. That would be a lie. It would be, some circles would consider that defamation. But, Okada, if I follow Gato's booking patterns, there is a fair, strong chance that Okada might lose a match going into the finals, despite the fact that he has a very favorable set of matches left. Like he's gone through the hard part. He leading into outside of Cobb, of course. We're outside of Cobb. He has Chase Owens, Taichi, and Tama Tonga left. He should be the favorite in all of these matches. I don't think that'll be a problem. Cobb has, he's got a higher hill to climb. Not gonna lie. He's got Tanahashi, Sanada, Evil, and Okada. So he's got the creme of the creme right now. He's got the top guys in the block. The ace. You've got Sanada. You've got Evil. That's a bit of a harder climb. But the way they've been booking Jeff Cobb, and especially the way they've been booking the tour of the islands, being like this spontaneous, out of nowhere, flippity do. Let me just short arm you into it. Kind of come from out of nowhere, move. Not unlike an RKO. I think he has a good chance to get over guys like Evil, guys like Sanada. Tanahashi will definitely be a very telling tale there. But Tanahashi lost this week as well, so let's see how things go. But Cobb definitely has the higher hill to climb, and I still maintain they're booking him so strong right now, and I think he got the win before Okada. just before going into the G1, and that's the kind of thing that Gedo likes to do. You know, sow some seeds of doubt and then go. Evil, on the other hand, and here's the thing: Evil has 8 points, and he has Jeff Cobb, but he's got Hiroki Goto, Sanada, and Tanahashi as well. So he has a bit of a steep hill to climb as well. But Evil has Dick Togo, and he's got Sho hanging around him now. So, you know, this whole House of Torture business can definitely come and usurp any, you know, logical predictions we may have. Plus the fact that he's at 8, he could sneak into Jeff Cobb's spot and you know, and try to steal his thunder. That is also something that's possible. Hiroshi Tanahashi's at 6. I mean, look, he's got Jeff Cobb, of course, Evil, Taichi, and Yoshihashi. He'll probably get a couple of more wins. I don't think he's going to make it. Sanada and Taichi at 4. Depending on how they do tomorrow, their tournament is just about up. It's really just one of these two guys is going to be done after this, if you ask me. If they lose, it's going to be lights out. So interesting stuff. Interesting, and again, you know, it's like the G1 in and about itself has, you know, I've talked about it a lot on the review shows and a little bit here as well. It's been a weird listen this year because of, you know, the restrictions still being in Japan and keeping the audience from reacting. That's always, you know, we're so spoiled right now in North America, having all of our full crowds back, having the audiences back, and really realizing how much a live audience adds to the show. So when you go back to the confined crowds, you know, the shush, you know, don't make too much noise, clap your feet, stomp your hands kind of crowd. It really takes you out of the experience to a degree, of course, but it helps when you have a live hot crowd, doesn't it, right? So, I mean, but there has been, you know, really good nights for the G1. I feel like night 10 of the G1 was a particularly strong edition, and I think it's free on New Japan World. Is it? Yeah, it's night 10 that they put. Was it night 9 or 10 that they put up for free? Well, they put up, I think it's night 10, and night 10 was very, very strong. Some Block B action. Look, what do you go? Yoshihashi and Goto had a really strong, super, super good professional wrestling match. What do you want me to tell you? I'm going to tell you the opposite, that Yoshihashi stunk up the joint. He didn't. He raised the roof. It was really, really good. Or was it the main event that was free? It was the Sanada Okada main event. And a lot of people were really high on it. And I'm like, look, I've seen this match before. Like, Okada and Sanada have had this kind of match before, and Sanada was fine. Don't get me wrong. Sanada can have some up and downs. It was good. It was a good wrestling match, but I've seen this structure before. I've seen this way that they approach their matches before. It wasn't. So the whole show with that main event. That's it. Okay. So night 10. No, wait. Not night 10. Night 9 then. So confused. I'm going to blame the allergies. No, it was night 10. There we go. Night 10 with the Okada Sanada main event. Confirmed. But, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, if you want to watch like a 2 hours of pro wrestling that will entertain you, that will excite you. You'll see different styles and it'll be exciting. Just you can head on over to newjapanworld.com and check it out. I mean, this is not the greatest G1 of all time. This isn't the one that's jam-packed, that's full of high caliber matches and, you know, tons of match of the years. It ain't it. This is not that kind of G1, but it's a solid one. And there's a lot of people who are working fucking hard on this card that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see them work so hard. Tangaloa, Chase Owens, Yoshi-Hashi, Yoshi-Hashi, Shifanafi Lashi. They work really, really hard. Relax there, coward. What if... Anyway, go check it out. And check out my reviews. Check out my recaps. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That way you'll get all the notifications. But I have everything on a playlist as well. Go check it out. If you're not... if you don't have time to follow the whole G1, follow my reviews. I want to thank Evan Wright for becoming a member once again. Well, for renewing his membership at the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Thank you very much for 11 months. He says, give me my 3-way block final Okada Cobb Evil. See, I saw that. Okay, I saw that pop up, and I think you directed that to me off of the Discord. Join the Discord. You're missing out if you don't. And listen, here's the thing. This is what surprises me. Chris Samsa is the guy who came up with this scenario where Okada, Cobb, and Evil could all be like in a triple threat for the main event at the main event and to win the blocks. Now, Chris, for those of you who don't know, does stats for New Japan, sportofprowrestling.com, and he's the kind of guy he's the kind of guy who puts out who releases this output of New Japan stats that when you sit down and you start researching the New Japan stuff and you're like, oh, let's talk about the G1, so on and so forth. He makes your job so much easier. And he's a cool guy on top of that. And God bless Chris. He's been watching New Japan for a very long time, probably longer than I have, to be perfectly transparent. I don't know how he thought that this is a possibility. How this is something that can happen in New Japan. The last time there was a triple threat in New Japan professional wrestling, I think it was it was in 2018. I don't remember the show. It was Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes versus Kota Ibushi, and everyone thought it was weird. Everyone thought it was the most bizarre thing, and it didn't quite. I remember looking at the match and being like, "Yeah, this ain't clicking. This ain't it." This I don't think it was it. Maybe it was the last Sakura Genesis show. Maybe I don't remember the name of the show. The name of the show doesn't matter, but I do remember. Well, it matters, but not in the context. Because my point being is that we haven't seen really triple threats since then, and the only time we've seen like goofy match setups is through the King of Pro Wrestling gimmick that they do with Yano. So I don't see it happening. And besides, here's the thing. Here's the kicker here. You can't have the triple threat because Okada has the tiebreaker on Evil. So even if Evil ties up, he's out. But I understand you'd have to get a situation where, each guy has a tiebreaker. But if I'm not mistaken, because I remember having this discussion with the Blazer Bros when all those guys were still podcasting about wrestling and we were talking about the G1, it comes down once you get the tiebreakers, then it comes down to individual tiebreakers between the same matches that they've had. Look, there's not going to be a triple threat. And you'd think a guy like Chris Samsa would know better. Chris, what are you talking about? Oh, anyway, but I'm excited to see how this is going to go. 3-way block final, Okada, Cobb, Evil. What are you talking about? I'm a purist. I'm a purist. Should we talk about WWE? Gonna make a note here. I think some of y'all came here to talk about WWE, right? New Japan is I always feel it's a good way to lead in, to lean in, to lead in, and lean in. I think we should talk about WWE. Oh, you guys are adorable. But no, let's have ourselves a little vent session here. Okay? I want us to have this vent session. Okay? I want to start. Look, this is what I wrote down. This is exactly in my notes. Okay? As I'm, coming up with the show ideas as I'm going around week after week. God bless you all in the chat right now. WWE SmackDown is a miserable watch. And I wrote that down. This is exactly, like, I'd screen share it, but then you'd see all my info and I'd get doxxed, and then you'd start, sending me, like, gorilla poop in the mail and stuff like that, so I don't want that to happen. WWE SmackDown, Friday nights on Fox, is a miserable watch. Week in, week out. Okay. I watch professional wrestling because I want to watch professional wrestling. Okay? I want to sit down and see men and women or whatever content. Excuse me. That's not the allergies. I want to see men and women or women. I want to see people fight each other. That's what I want to do. I want to see the stories. I want to see the athleticism. I want to get into it. I want to hear a bell go ding ding. I want to see two people, two tag teams, whatever. I want to see fights. I want to see my pretend fantasy fights. That's what I want. SmackDown, week after week, has the least amount of bell-to-bell action of any of the major nationally televised wrestling shows. Raw, NXT 2.0, Dynamite, Rampage, even Impact. Always between around 20 to 25% of the show. So either a quarter or a fifth of the 2 hours of SmackDown is devoted to pro wrestling. And I have the numbers. I've been compiling them. I post them on Twitter weekly because I think it's a fascinating watch. The only spite that they had was at the Madison Square Garden show, where 39% of the show was actual wrestling from ding ding to ding ding, because they had a full hour where they had Seth versus Edge and the Usos versus the Street Profits, I think. I don't remember. That's the other thing, right? But that's a whole other discussion. So again, and I've talked about this before, and it came up this week in a discussion, and someone said, it's like you say, Warren, you watch wrestling to watch wrestling. Otherwise, why are you watching? And this is a question that I posit to you, gentle viewers of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, or listeners, depending on how you're doing it right now. Why do you watch wrestling? And I cannot fathom that you're like sitting at home week after week going, boy, oh boy, I can't wait for some promos. That's not why. It's upside down, topsy-turvy land. The promo, again, we've lost the essence of the word promo in wrestling. Like a lot of wrestling terminology has lost its real essence, like burials and stuff. But Diego Rafael Solis Rivera, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. We've lost the essence of the word promo, which is short for promotion. What are you promoting if not your match? You're promoting your match. Your promo is supposed to get you excited for the match. It's not supposed to walk you down a series of motivations and complex emotions and some witty back and forth all the time for the sake of... It's supposed to get you excited for a match. And whether that match is later on in the evening or at the pape that the company wants you to shill out money for, or better yet, pay exorbitant amounts of money to go sit in the audience and watch that same wrestling show. That's what the promo is for. But we've lost the direction of what a promotion should, what a promo should be. We've lost the script, which is weird to say, because a promo it's not something that should take up the majority of the show. You need a promo to get you excited for the matches that are going to be on the show. That's how it works, right? So when shows start with 8 to 10 minutes of promos, that's a full quarter hour right there where you're sitting listening to people talk. I'm like, what am I watching? This is not why I'm tuning in. And it's like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like it's been a while since I've said it, so I'm going to bring it up right now, right here. The fact, if I want to watch drama and comedy and I'm going to watch those appropriate shows. The promos and everything, it needs to support the wrestling, but in WWE, it's the other way around. They don't care about the wrestling. The wrestling is a crutch to everything else, sometimes it feels like. And I'm thinking, because I've been to a SmackDown show live, and I think back and I'm like, man, it's a relatively expensive ticket that I'm paying. And there's two of us going. And you sit down and 25% of what you're watching isn't even wrestling. It's entrances and people talking and then video packages, because goddamn, there's a lot of those. And when you're in an arena, it's not exciting to sit there and watch a big screen. It's not. And to me, it is not conducive. The way that WWE does its TV, it is not conducive to being entertaining for a live crowd. And we were talking about this very point on the Discord. I can't stress enough, you should join the Discord. My God. We were talking about this on the Discord, on how the live shows, like the WWE house shows, how they are much more geared towards the live audience and how much more it's a fan-friendly experience. Because, then the wrestlers, they goof off. They don't have the cameras. They don't have these really tight timings that they have to go through. Everything is looser. The wrestlers are having a good time. They're interacting much more with the fans. And yet those are the shows that are making less money, right? Because the TV seems much more prestigious. Because there's shit that happens on TV, right? Like, you want to be at the TV. Live shows, fuck them. But it turns out that that's probably the better fan experience if you're there to go watch the show live. Sometimes I'm like, why are we watching this live? On SmackDown this week, 25% of the show was what we got 3 matches on a 2-hour show. We had Happy Corbin versus Kevin Owens. We had the New Day and the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy and the Dirty Doogs. And Sasha against Bianca Belair. That's the setup we had. Those were the only 3 matches that were on the show. And then you flip around, you look at Dynamite this week. It's another 2-hour program. Same thing, exact same setup. 2-hour programming. We got the 8-man tag to open it up. We got Sammy Guevara versus Bobby Fish. We got Darby Allin versus Nick Comoroto. We got Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida. And then we got the main event ladder match. That's 5 matches. And when I punch in the numbers, it comes up to 48% of the show, of the 2 hours of Dynamite, was dedicated to bell-to-bell action. That's nearly double the amount of time of SmackDown. So if you're a wrestling fan, and you want to sit down to watch wrestling, which show is a better use of your time? if you want to watch wrestling. There's one show that gives you 25%, that gives a quarter of the show is wrestling, while the other one, nearly half of the show is wrestling. Then you get the promos, then you get, all the stuff, the entrances, sure. Such a miserable watch SmackDown is. Madcap Moss, motherfuckers, what is this bullshit? How many times are we trying to get Riddick Moss over? And Happy Corbin defeating Kevin Owens does it smell like the end of a contract? He's been hanging out with Akira Tozawa and the 24/7 geeks over on Raw now. Get the hell out of there, Kevin Steen. And then the 8-man tag, it's something that happened. They don't remember. And then you get Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, which is a flagship match. It is not flagship. What's the word I'm looking for? It is a premium match. Two legit big stars. They main evented night 1 of WrestleMania this year. And you're putting it on free TV. It's a big deal. What do? Shenanigans at the end. Becky interferes. And blah, 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 blah. And then they do the exact same finish on Raw. The same goddamn thing. It's such bullshit. And then this week, there was the home invasion angle. Look, home invasion angles in the history of WWE have happened, right? Though we've seen them before, and there are some circumstances that were very entertaining, very well done. When the ministry shows up at the McMahon's. That was pretty dope. Samoa Joe with the Daddy's Home stuff. Come on. That was all Samoa Joe. That was carried by Samoa Joe's, psychopathic charisma was amazing. Triple H and Randy Orton, probably a classic one. And of course, Steve Austin and Brian Pillman's Got a Gun, right? That's probably like if you have a Mount Rushmore of WWE home invasion angles, they're all Austin Pillman. But this one blew it's the worst home invasion of all time. Seth Rollins coming in, drinking the orange juice, taking a bite out of an apple and then tossing the apple, sitting on a couch. I'm like, and then you see Edge. Well, before we get to Edge, I'm like, break shit, Seth, do something. Or at the very least, if you're sitting down on the couch, right? You sit there. Let me show you here. That. You sit down on the couch, and at the very least, you sort of, you rub your ass like this, and you say, I'm unwashed. And you're like, that's fucking gross, man. I saw recently, what do you call it? The horror movie, Don't Breathe, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but in the opening scene, there is a home invasion. The main protagonists are thieves, and there's a home invasion, and the worst one of the bunch, while everyone is stealing shit, he's going around, he's just tossing stuff, and at some point he starts masturbating, and then he starts flinging his man goo everywhere, and I'm like, that's fucking disgusting. I'm like, that's worse than just like toppling over vases. I'm like, that's really gross. Not that I wanted Seth to, do any of that. But I'm like, come on, Seth, do something. And please don't clip that. Anyway. But it's not, as much as that sucked, this is how it got worse. I mean, you've heard of The Bump, right? You don't watch The Bump. No one watches The Bump. Do you know why people talk about The Bump? It's because they put clips on YouTube, on YouTube, yes, but on Twitter of The Bump. That's the only way that people talk about The Bump. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what the fuck The Bump is. They had Sonya Deville on The Bump this week, and they had one of the hosts, Papa Plus. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who the hosts are. Mike Carr. I know Kayla's there. Kayla Braxton is there because Kayla Braxton, she actually rules. I don't know who these people are. So this one host asks Sonya, he's like, well, when you saw the home invasion this week, how would you Sonya react to someone invading your home, or some stupid question like that? They're asking Sonya Deville how she would feel if someone invaded her home. How would she react to someone invading her home? I understand this is all kayfabe, but Sonya Deville was actually had a guy in her house who was planning to do shit to her. A guy broke into her house legitimately, not a story, not a storyline. It happened. The guy was arrested. He's on trial. And they go and they say, look at our goofy home invasions. How do you feel about home invasions, Sonya? I'm like, motherfuckers. How tone deaf are you? And then I talk about it on Twitter. I just retweet the thing with a very general, this is not right. I don't remember what I tweeted. Oh, I'm sure Sonya was okay with it. Who cares? How does that make it better? Even if she was okay with it. We know how this company works. You just have to have the right person to come and tell you, look, maybe at first she says no, but maybe, we're trying to work with you, Sonya. Sonya's no dummy. She knows how WWE works. Or could have just been like, hey, you know what? Maybe we just shouldn't ask the question, period. And that's what's wild to me. Just don't ask the question. Fuck, we even saw the footage of the guy in her home because it was made public. It's creepy as hell. And we all felt bad for Sonya. You go and do, my God. And you could tell how uncomfortable she was trying to answer the question. Being a good company woman. Oh, okay, well, because she really could have said, you know what? I prefer not to answer that. But she probably didn't want to create a scene, probably just wanted to keep it cool. And that's the thing, and it happens often, and I talk about it often, when they do stupid booking decisions, and then people are like, well, what else could they have done? It's like, when you try to protect everyone in a match. Well, who would you have had lose? No one. If you want to protect everyone, don't book the match, right? That's one of my mantras. That's what I say. If you can't have someone lose clean, don't book the match, right? It's the same thing here. Oh, maybe Sonya was okay with it. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe you just don't ask the question in the first place and don't create the situation in the first place. Raw is slightly better, but not by Raw's. It's the 3-hour thing, right? That's the 3-hour gimmick. That's the problem with it. Look, the good things, because there are legitimately good things on Raw. If over the past couple of, well, Damian Priest, I think they've been booking him very, very well. I think it's I think they've been doing a fantastic job with Damian Priest. I think Sheamus has always been a shining star. He's been a shining star since last year for Raw. He's been fantastic, and the two of them together, I think it's been very good. The renewed badassery of Shayna Baszler was amazing. Is amazing, and we have to continue down that road. Big E, that after the so-so win of with the contract signing and everything, I think they've been doing a good job establishing him as a real strong protected champion with the cage match, the tag team this week where he did the big ending on Bobby Roode, but after the match, because Drew tagged himself in to win, and establishing a little animosity for the match at Crown Jewel, that cool. I think they're doing pretty good. By the way, the Shayna Baszler thing, when she fought Dana Brooke, what the fuck was up with Corey Graves burying the hell out of Dana Brooke? Did you guys and gals pick that up? Did you hear that? He was just like laying into her something fierce. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I have to point it out because, I was kind of like, man, not even JR, when he doesn't like something on AEW, is this savage. Because this was savage. Don't get me wrong. I think he's kind of right in the degree that Dana she's still in the exact same spot she's been for the past 5 years. Nothing has happened for her. But she's been a start-stop kind of person as well. We'll give you a little bit, we're going to take it right back. They don't lean into her. They don't give her anything substantial to chew on, so how good really is Dana Brooke? We don't know. I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. And knowing again how WWE works, this is someone in Corey Graves' ear telling him to say this shit. Probably Vince. But I'm going to say this like I say it's the same thing that when I talk about JR, when he goes off on his tangents, his job is to make you care for the product and make you care for the people who are there. If your color commentators are there saying, yeah, you know what, this person on our employ right now, they suck. Why would you get behind that person? Why would you get excited about this product? There's no reason to. It's counterintuitive, and it's not the job of commentary to be editorializing like that. Their job is to make you, as a viewer, understand that what you're watching is good to awesome, or even excellent. Not, this wrestler sucks. She's been trying so long, and there's only so many chances you can get, unless they're building to some kind of weird-ass story, but it was so random and came out of nowhere. So weird. That's it. Just before, I was talking about good things on Raw, but Raw is still not a good show because this is the brand that is trying to sell us the fact that a no holds barred match between Bobby Lashley and Bill Goldberg in Saudi Arabia is going to be something you'll want to tune into. No. This is nothing you want to tune into. Why would you want that? Why would you want to watch Goldberg try to perform some hardcore moves or go fight in the... Well, they probably won't even be able to fight in the audience. You've seen the setups for the Saudi shows. It's horrible. Nothing exciting about this. I will point out that I will be continuing again this year. I will continue, since we got a hiatus last year on it, I will be continuing my non-coverage of WWE Saudi Arabia shows because I don't think we should support we should support companies that do business with companies that have atrocious human rights records. And I'll maintain that. So if you want some crown jewel coverage, there's many other places that don't give a shit about those kinds of ethical concerns. Hope you all are having a good time. Did you give a like on the video yet? You can always do that. Are you new here? You enjoying yourselves? You want to subscribe? Go right ahead. You want to leave a review? As I'm talking, you just pull out and you go, Warren Hayes is a stupid man who thinks Raw is bad. That's a review. You can all leave that review. Warren Hayes is a stupid man who thinks Raw is bad, but leave a 5-star review. And we'll just confuse the shit out of anyone who tries to look me up on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, excuse me. It'll just be, is this a good, they're giving him 5 stars, they're calling him stupid, but, so is this good? And then they'll have to listen. Oh, let's talk about AEW. I had a little private discussion about my current feelings about WWE and AEW, the person told me, you practically always only say nice things about AEW, whereas WWE, you don't. And I'm like, well, I don't feel compelled to do the opposite. And I'm going to talk about what I like to talk about. It's, first of all, it's my podcast. And I hope that the editorial slant that y'all listeners are picking up here right now is that I feel, as a guy who watches wrestling, has been watching wrestling for a long time, that AEW is the better product because it is the one that resembles an actual wrestling show. I know a lot of, I like to meme that, I'm on the AEW payroll, but I mean, it's a joke, right? I don't think, hopefully no one takes those jokes seriously. You don't have to pay me to say nice things about anything. Just do nice things. Make me feel shit. I'll be okay. Hey, Anakin's here. How you doing? And he's been a member for 17 months. Look at that. Thank you very much, Anakin. Thank you for still being around as a member. And he says, Warren, can you do a better Tony D'Angelo than Alex? Probably not. I can give it a try though, because the unfair advantage that Alex Pulowski has is that he lives in the Midwest. I'll probably just end up. It'll probably just end up. Look, hang on. Let me try. What is it? I have some very legitimate businesses. See, I already sound like my Eastern European weird accent guy. Ask me to do it in an Eastern European weird accent guy, and I'll be like, I have a legitimate businesses. I work with my friends at the docks, and then I'll be fine. No, I can't do it. I can't. I won't even try. I'll just end up insulting. I was looking to try to find a way to make some money, and I was, I wasn't going to make any money in amateur wrestling. I had to go to NXT. That's where the big bucks were. See, it's horrible. What am I doing? Oh. No, it's awful. It's terrible. What are you talking about? They should bring me on to have me do my that guy. You know, it's like, no, you'd be like, hey, Tommaso Ciampa, I come and challenge you to your NXT titles, and I will take it from you and bring it home. All right, we're talking about AEW now. That's enough. That's enough. Rampage, we got Bryan Danielson versus Nick Jackson, which I thought was tremendous. When they called that out on Dynamite and they said this is the match that we're going to be getting, we're doing Nick Jackson and Danielson, I was like, this is cool. This is really, really, really cool. Because I don't think it's a secret that Nick is the better of the Bucks, right? He's the more talented, the better work rate guy. Nick is a lot smoother, more talented. And I was like, yeah, drop this guy in a match with Daniel Bryan. That'd be fantastic. That'd be awesome. And it was. I thought it was a fantastic match. And I'm surprised. You know, I do these polls on my community tab on YouTube every week where I'm like, which was your better show? And, you know, typically it's Dynamite that wins by a landslide. And I seriously was expecting Rampage to do better. Because the Jackson Danielson match was so good. But it didn't. I was like, what? Really? I mean, you know, look, I know that if you take the overall match, you had the three-way with Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, and Thunder Rosa, which was, it was fine, you know, it was good for what it was. I think it exposed Jade a little, but okay, you know, cool. And we got the hair versus hair match, which was a fun time, you know, a little chaotic at the end, you know, was meant to be like this big old cluster leading into to Dynamite this week. And yeah, so I mean, maybe overall the show didn't quite captivate as much. But that opening match, holy shitballs. That was really good. Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. And he left us a spooky super chat for those of you who were paying attention. He says, do you think taping Rampage after Dynamite is suffering from exhausted crowds? To have experienced that in Milwaukee, I would say yes. But I think they're learning to better pace the shows, to not, and this is going to make a couple of people laugh, not waste all the pops. Because yes, it does get a little exhausting, because don't forget, not only do they tape Rampage, but they also tape a Dark, right? I don't remember if it's Elevate. I can never remember if it's Dark or Dark Elevation. I think it's Dark proper, no, right? It's Dark Elevation that they tape. So you're getting so much wrestling. So yes, it does get a little exhausting once you get to the end. Do they have a better way of doing it right now? I don't think so, because I don't think running a live show just for Rampage, which is a 1 hour show, is a good idea. Maybe what they could do is make a 2 hour show out of it. Like tape 2 hours, and you know, because look, what I'm trying to say is that it's problematic then to tape a Dynamite, get all your crew over to a building, tape and tape the show, or not tape the show, but broadcast it live because it's just a 1 hour show. And even if you do the dark stuff beforehand, it's not a super compelling ticket. They've done it once, right? They did it for CM Punk at the United Center, but that was special. That was unique. You know, that was something special, you know? It's a tough one, but I think that we saw with the way they set up the Arthur Ashe show and the tapings after, I think they did it the best possible way. They started with the big match, let everything run its course, end with a pretty big match with Britt versus Ruby, but nothing that'll blow off, you know, nothing that will exhaust the crowd for the 2 hours that are coming after that. Like, I think it's a balancing act for sure, but I think that it's all in the booking. It's all how you structure your shows and how you move your parts around, right? Because you're getting CM Punk on Rampage this week, right? So for the live crowd, they got him, and then they're popping into onto Rampage, right? You're getting the Lucha Brothers as well, you know. So you're still giving them stars they want to see live, but they're happening on another show, which is smart. But then you can always run this back and say, you know, it's not unlike going to a Raw taping, because the Raw tapings, you're going to get the main event stuff. You're going to get the main event tapings beforehand. Sure, they don't run as many matches as they do with Darks. Fair. But that's what they do. So you go to a taping of Raw, you get the main event, and then you sit through 3 hours. And I mean, 3 hours of Raw is also exhausting for the live audience too. Is there a proper formula here? As it stands right now, look, and we're saying the crowds, you know, do the crowds get gassed? Are they a little exhausted? Yes. But not even half as exhausted as you would expect. It's just the energy level is so high at AEW shows that when it starts to dip a little bit, they're like, oh. But even an AEW crowd that has a little lower energy is still has higher energy than other places. But I don't think taping Rampage before is a good idea, because don't forget, Dynamite is live, so it has to run at a very fixed time. And again, you know, people are finishing their day at work, or, you know, they're coming from home, they're leaving the suburbs, whatever. You know, you have to account for people coming to the venue and sitting down. And I can attest that, you know, there is a lot of people present for the dark tapings and whatnot, but the arena is still very sparse. People will come to sit down once they hear the Dynamite theme kicking off. They'll come, they'll sit down, they'll start watching once Justin Roberts starts warming the crowd up. Otherwise, you know, you'll just start Rampage and the crowd will be super spotty and sparse, and then people will take screenshots on Twitter and be like, this building is only 20% capacity. WrestleTix is wrong. No, that, you know what happens then. Dynamite last night was probably one of my favorite Dynamites in a long time. Do you want to hear a real hot take? Here's a really, really hot take. You ready for this? I think, here we go. I think that the way AEW structures its shows, its Dynamites, I think it is very, very close to how Vince Russo used to do it. How's about that for a hot take? But I sincerely believe that. And look, I'm not talking about the booking. I'm definitely not talking about the storylines, for sure. But the hallmark of the Attitude Era, once Vince Russo started having more of a hands-on with producing shows, was to always be having stuff happening. Crash TV is how we called it, right? You just lead in segment to segment. You have a match, boom, there'd be something else. Have a match, something. There'd always be something happening, no lulls. And last night, I think it was, I don't know, it sort of dawned on me. I don't know if people have brought this up before. Maybe they don't because they don't like Vince Russo. I don't like Vince Russo. Not as a human being. I never met him. But let's say I don't have affinities with Vince Russo. How about that? But you when you watch how everything is just like boom, 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 boom on a Dynamite like last night, and then I'm thinking about other Dynamites. I'm like, this is the formula that they have. There's no 8-minute promos to explain a wrestler's motivations. We understand what a basic wrestler's motivation is. Wrestler is a paid fighter, wants to be in matches to win matches so he can make more money than when he loses. That's the basic motivation of any wrestling match. So it doesn't have to be uber complex. If you're spending 8 minutes trying to explain to me why a wrestler is doing something, you're not doing your job. You really aren't. Or you think I'm a fool, which I'm not. So for all the problems that come with Vince Russo, the Crash TV vision worked, because an episode of Raw, when it was 2 hours, was just like nonstop, burn, 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 and it'd be great. And last night it was like, look, you don't have time to breathe. You don't have time to be like, well, I should go to the bathroom. Oh, wait, no, there's something else going on. And you don't have any better proof of that than AEW starting straight with a match and not even giving us introductions. I'm talking just diving head in, and everyone is in the ring. We're doing introductions. Ding, ding, ding. Let's get the bell. Let's get this match going, right? Joe Poulin, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And I apologize to do but in AEW and WWE they do this, and I apologize to do it. But the other guys would have had all of these people's introductions, or they would have had introductions of their 2-3 biggest stars, then cut to commercial, then come back and have the rest of the people in the ring with, the ending of one person's entrance, and then the match would start. Here it's just like everyone is standing in the ring. They're all in their gear. They're ready to go. Their shit is off. There's no... In this corner, the Super Elite. In this corner, Jurassic Express, Daniel Bryan, and the Christian. And bam! And we're off to the races. How many times do I sit here and I say, why doesn't WWE start with the fucking match? That's one of the things I love about Dynamite. Dynamite every week, there's no nonsense. It happens once in a while where they're going to have a promo, they're going to have a segment to open up Dynamite. And I'm like, wow, this feels weird. It doesn't feel right, It's like, why is MJF talking? Why aren't we fighting? And I like that. I like that feeling. And I think it's important for me to feel like it's weird, because all they've been doing is delivering this to me, right? And then I get to the point where, so I get to the point with WWE, and I'm like, I don't understand why they just don't start with a match. You get promos and promos, and here it's not, look, I'm into this. And this was another fun, electric, dynamic match to open AEW Dynamite. What do you want from me? It's the same thing I say every week because it's the same thing they do every week. Why? Because they want you to keep watching the show. They're not going to give you 8 minutes of community theater. They're going to give you a match. Here are my takeaways from this. Adam Cole is huge. Huge. He's going to be a star for decades for this company. There is so much money left in Danielson Omega 2. So much more money left. Did you not hear how lit that crowd was? First of all, the Philly crowd last night was awesome. What a great live. We know the Philly crowds are great. We know this. I'm not sitting here bringing upon ye some great revelation. You know it. I know it. Philly crowds love wrestling, right? That's fine. Here, you get Danielson and Bryan. They meet in the skirmish of the match. The crowd gets up on their feet. I want to call out everyone who has said that the draw 2 weeks ago, the 30-minute draw, was a bad decision, that it killed the momentum, that this was proof, pudding proof, that the draw was the best way to go because people still want to see these guys fight each other. Do you know why? Because the story has been told like it should be. No nonsense. Bryan Danielson comes to the company, wants to fight the best, goes straight for the best. The best says, you have to work to get a shot at my title. Daniel Bryan's like, I don't care about your title. I want to fight you because I want to prove that I'm the best. Fine. They get in the ring. They can't decide. We don't find out as viewers who is the best because they go to the 30-minute draw. Isn't that fucking amazing? That is wrestling storytelling. No 12-minute promos every week. No smug jabs or, Bryan Danielson coming out one week dressed in a goofy suit with curly hair like Kenny Omega to make fun of him. So when they do come nose to nose in the ring, the crowd goes nuts. And TK's in the back and he's like, fantastic, we're going to run this one again. That's all he needed to see. I've come to the conclusion, because y'all know that I'm a big Jungle Boy fan. And even back in the day when I was still doing the Monday Night Wars recap on Fightful, I was saying, Jungle Boy is over, and at some point they're going to have to give him the big win so that people continue to cheer for him, because no one wants to cheer for a loser, and I still believe that. I'm still stunned at how over Jungle Boy is sometimes, despite the fact that he has legit one of the worst records in the entire company, right? Well, not one of the worst records, but he never wins the big one. I've come to accept the fact, I think at this point, that the only way Jungle Boy is the day Jungle Boy becomes Jack Perry, drops the gimmick, I think that's the moment that he becomes a legitimate contender. I think that's when he starts winning matches. When he grows up to a certain degree. I think in the meantime, they're going to continue using him the way that they're using him right now. But as it stands, and don't get me wrong, it's not working. People pop huge for the guy. They still love him. I'm sure they push merch. People were excited for the action figures. They're like, finally, we're getting the Luchasaurus Jungle Boy action figure. The kids love him. That's all important. That's part of marketing. That's what you do. But I sincerely believe that once he becomes Jungle Jack Perry or whatever, and drops the gimmick, I think that's when he starts being taken seriously. And that's going to be a really big test of AEW storytelling. Because, this kind of talk, don't worry, I realize I'm self-aware enough to realize that I don't have this same type of discourse with a guy, let's say like Big E or Kofi Kingston, when they said, well, now Big E and Kofi Kingston have to stop being goofy now that they're world champion. But it's a little different here. Because I still don't believe that Kofi Kingston needed to change. I still don't believe Big E needs to serious up and stop with the nonsense. Why would you kill off what brought you to the game, right? It's what he was doing that brought him to that point. Why would he stop all of a sudden? Why does it have to be so serious and dour and dark, kind of thing? It's a little different here where I'm saying he doesn't have to change. Because to me, I think Jungle Boy can get over and start winning the big ones as Jungle Boy. I think he can, because it's the same guy. But I think that eventually they'll have to kill the gimmick because, he can't be called Jungle Boy when he's 41 years old, is my point. There's going to be a posterity thing here. But eventually he's going to move into that character. And I think that's when they're sort of going to flip the switch and be like, okay, well, we're pushing you. We're pushing you for real now. Because they can't even manage tag team gold, which is weird. I don't understand that. As good as the match with the Young Bucks was at All Out this year, I still think Jurassic Express should have got the spot and won the titles. That's just me. Nick Nutter, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Anyway, fun match to start off. Sammy Guevara defeated Bobby Fish. What's the discourse on Bobby Fish these days? Or, outside of all the personal stuff, I just want to focus on Bobby Fish, professional wrestler, being hired in AEW. Are people mad? Are people what we saw last time? I think this is very much a toss-up for me between my what was my favorite match last night on Dynamite. Was it the Sammy Bobby Fish match or was it the women's match? And it's very, very close, and I really have trouble saying which one with confidence, because I'm not very confident I don't think I should choose. How about that? Why are you making me choose? Stop making me choose. Bobby Fish is okay, so he's old and he offers nothing. Okay. Thank you, chat. Okay, I'll get to that super chat in a minute. Thank you, Anakin. Just to wrap up the Bobby Fish thing. Bobby Fish last night, and here, why not another hot take? Are you guys ready for another hot take? You ready for this? I'm in a hot take kind of mood. Probably the allergies. Bobby Fish brought Sammy Guevara to his best match in AEW to date last night. Because he is exactly the kind of guy that they need on the roster. Seasoned veteran that can still work hard, work a smart style. Wasn't flashy, wasn't running all over the place. Sure, the Avalanche Falcon Arrow had everyone popping out of their seat. Sure, absolutely. But I sincerely believe that Sammy last night was guided to his best match in AEW, and I think it was with his dance partner. And that's what Bobby Fish is going to bring to the company. Exactly like why you should have a woman like Serena Deeb there as well. Fish has a wealth of knowledge. He's not a guy who's hung around the North American Indies all his career. He has traveled everywhere And he has wrestled people. He's wrestled all sorts of folks. From legends to scrubs. And yes, he's prone to injury. What is he, 45? Something, how old is Bobby Fish? Let me pull this up here. How old, that's not it. How old is Bobby Fish? Not Bobby Flay, Bobby. 45 years old. 44 years old. He's going to be 45 on October 27th. Happy birthday in advance, Robert Poisson. He can't go in the same way he can, but the experience and the wealth of knowledge that he is, and the fact that he is such an awesome professional wrestler still today, the things that he can bring to that locker room is phenomenal. I think, think about it. Put him in a role like Matt Sydal is. No one's pushing Matt Sydal. He's not being pushed, and that's not what he's there for. He's there to guide the new guys and have some occasional, excellent matches with, world champions. That's what he's for. And that's what Fish should be for. Why would you push him? And why does everyone instantly think well, he's not good. He's not main event material. He doesn't have to be. Not everyone you hire has to be main event material, nor can they. You can't hire main eventers up and down your card. You need the rest of the card. I love this match. Crazy. Like nuts. It looked like a professional wrestling match. I loved it. I thought it was good. And the only person that made me feel the same way that night, well, let's talk about it right now, is Serena Deeb when she was wrestling Hikaru Shida, who are both fantastic workers. But Deeb, she is one of the top 5 women wrestlers in the world today for her work rate alone, for her style, for what she brings. She is fantastic. What an amazing women's match they gave us. Now, this is the thing. These are the women that they have to be showcasing. God bless Julia Hart, but keep her off of my TV until she can work a match. What I saw last night, I don't see any excuses to be putting women who are not ready for television. You've got Britt, you've got Statlander, you've got Jamie Hayter, you've got Ruby, you've got these two, you've got Riho. Nyla's improved tremendously. There's still some Ty Conchi. There's still some women who need some, they need some time in the cooker, right? You can still put them in the pressure cooker and let them cook a little longer. That's fine. Not dopes. But when I see matches like that, I'm like, holy fucking shit, they're great. And what great stakes. The 50th victory of Hikaru Shida. Simple. They made a little trophy for it. And shout out to Flowman. Flowman, are you here? I hope you are. Shout out to Flowman in the chat last night. In the Discord. Join the goddamn Discord. When we were watching it live. He says... before the match, when the match starts, he writes out, he says, I hope Serena Deeb wins the match and smashes the 50th victory trophy. And we all had a good laugh at it. And I told him, I said, I'll give you the book. I'll call Tony, because I'm on the payroll, right? I'll call TK. I'll say, give this boy the book. He gets it. And everyone was expecting Shida to win. Everyone was expecting it. What a fantastic turn of events. Having Serena Deeb not only hit the detox, but do exactly what she did to Riho. Grab Shida's knee, slam it into the ring, hits her submission. She's done. She loses. And then Deeb goes and gets the trophy, cracks her over the head with it. It's brilliant stuff. And there you go. You have yourself a brand new heel who is vicious, doesn't give a shit, and you continue this feud, and this feud feels personal. I love it. Look at it. It's simple. No dolls. No convoluted angles where you're going to put on face masks or whatever. Wrestling ain't hard to book. It's hard to do. You don't have to overthink things. Like, I don't want to overthink saying hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Yeah, who's in the chat? Hello, Kristen. I thought it was a phenomenal match. I feel like it was a phenomenal match. And I'm telling you, this is the kind of stuff that makes the women's division feel important. If you keep stuffing Rebel, not Reba, in matches, when you can have matches like this one, you're not putting on the right people. You're not making the right decisions. It's that simple. I saw someone on Twitter said there was a gasp in the audience when someone who was there live. There was a gasp in the audience when Serena Deeb lost. And isn't that fantastic? Just the greatest heel move of all time. Everyone in the crowd is expecting to cheer for Shida's 50th. There's no, Serena Deeb she took that moment from you, the fans, from Shida. Bless her heart. That was amazing. Let's see you, Jason PS3. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, let's talk about that TBS title, which was announced yesterday. Brand new title. This is what was really dope. They pull out the title. They say, we're announcing. Tony Schiavone was there. And he's with Girl Hebner. And he says, we're going to unveil this new title, the TBS title, because they're going to TBS, right? And I'm like, this is weird. Because when you see the pouch, right? You see the pouch, you're like, oh, titles, right? And you're showcasing the women. Give them a reason to be on the show, even more than just like, other than, hey, we have excellent women wrestlers. Maybe we should just book them, There's more stakes for them. It's their secondary title. And I'm going to tell you, with the way that they've booked the TNT title to this date right here, complete faith with how they're going to book the TBS one. I don't see why there'd be any issues with it, really. I saw some comments. I always do. Wow. Should they really be introducing a secondary title? Like, how is that going to work? Whereas throughout most of the year, last year and into this year, AEW unofficially had a secondary title, which was the NWA title. That was defended more times on AEW television than it was on NWA TV. Popped up regularly. Serena Deeb carried that like a queen. Thunder Rosa too, right? Thunder Rosa for a while? Or am I dreaming? Serena Deeb. My point is that they have, we're not in uncharted terrain in regards to a secondary title for women's wrestling on AEW, they've done it before. And if this is what we needed, and if this is what we needed to get more airtime for the women on the shows, fine. I'm 100% for it. I really hope that they're not prepping this title for Brandy when she returns. Because on that one episode of Roads to Rags, Roads to Riches, Roads to the Top that I watched featuring Teal Runnels, you know, they were talking a lot of, they were really putting over the fact that Brandy wants to come back, you know, and I want to win a championship and so on. I'm like, oh my God. And that sort of popped into my lizard brain last night. I was like, do you think this is all just a setup for Brandy? Anywho, I didn't watch Down the Roads again. And I'm not going to watch it again. It's really, you know, look, I'm not going off on a tangent like I did last week because it cut into other stuff I wanted to talk about. But, you know, I didn't care for it. And as far as reality TV series goes, I think it's like a C-. I don't think it's that good. I don't think it's that compelling. If it was all Teal Runnels, though, then I'd be on board. Teal Runnels and Arn Anderson. I still think that's the best possible show moving forward. So it's all going to start off with the tournament. That'll be great. I'm excited for it. Should be fun. Anakin JMT left us a super chat a little earlier. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, if HBK can still be the Heartbreak Kid at 56, Jungle Boy Jay can still be Jungle Boy at 45. Dag nabbit. Sure. Except, you know, the expression kid, you know what? Because it's a nickname. That's the thing, right? Shawn Michaels is not, like, his wrestling name is not the Heartbreak Kid, right? That's not his name. Jungle Boy is literally his name. That's the name of the wrestler. If they call him Jungle Boy Jack Perry, fantastic. I'm okay with that. You know, that's fine. Because trust me, it would be weird if Shawn Michaels' wrestling name was the Heartbreak Kid, and we'd be seeing him go around at 56 years old today, still calling himself the Heartbreak Kid and not like transitioning into a real name. You know what I mean? Let's see. Dante Martin, we knew him. Rest in peace. I don't know who's preparing the funeral arrangements for poor Dante. We hardly knew ye. You'll be missed greatly. He was attacked by Malachi Black last night. He was misted, and then, you know, kicked into oblivion, into sweet oblivion. We hardly knew ye, Dante. What a shame. And look, here's another thing. Malachi Black is a made guy. Look at how excited. The lights came up after Dante did his promo. The lights go dark and they come back up. Malachi Black is there. What happens? The arena goes nuts. And what does everybody do? They're like, oh shit, Dante Martin is dead. He's done for. It's fantastic. Look at what more do you want? And then to wrap it all up, we had the number one contendership Casino Battle Ladder match. Casino Ladder Battle match. The number one Syndicate Rattle Battle match. That had Andre Alidolo, John Moxley, Lance Archer, Matt Hardy, and Orange Cassidy and Peak be in this match. And the returning Hangman Page made his return. Fantastic. I was worked. Great stuff. I loved it. Great return. Great stuff. and the people just went nuts. The people popped. This is the same company that people were worried, right? That AEW is just they're just emptying out all the pops. There'll be no more pops. They brought in Danielson, they brought in Chris M. Punt, and now they're all out of pops. They're going to be running out of pops. Driving the casuals away. There's too many people on the show. Too many people, too many comebacks, too much stuff going on. Driving the casual away. Won't anyone think of the casuals? Hangman return. Look, the match was fine. High spots. Yes, the dead eye through the table was absolutely crazy. But here's the thing. We do have to talk about Hangman because so many people thought Hangman would be done for, right? He lost the title. He didn't lose the title. He lost the opportunity, right, to win the title, and he disappeared. People were like, he's done. He's done. People are not into it. You have so many weird analysis people who are, but I can't even blame them. Like I'm trying to get into like a mood where I'm like, these people don't know anything, but it's not that. It's just I've used the term before and I'm gonna keep using it. We've been poisoned by WWE for the past 20 years to be like that a loss in a championship match means, detrimental, it's death. It's you're pushed down the card, or you go off to catering for a while. Like that there's no follow through ever. You lose, you're done. And Hangman has been handled so perfectly by this company ever since he lost the inaugural World Championship title match to Chris Jericho. Ever since then, he's been handled perfectly to the point that he is a star for that company. And if you didn't believe he was a star, what kind of fucking reaction were you expecting last night, if not that? And this is a company that just a couple of weeks ago, still fresh, over a month ago maybe, that got CM Punk back to wrestling. The legend, the myth, like the literal Sasquatch of wrestling. CM Punk brings him back to wrestling and then gets Daniel Bryan back to Bryan Danielson. And people are like, oh, well, these two guys are too big and they're just going to ruin it for all the other guys who were already there. Adam Page is going to be a thing of the past that won't be able. And look at him come back. He comes back, roof blows off. It was already a loud crowd and it got louder. We've been poisoned and conditioned into thinking that you can only cheer so much for very designated people. Right? And in the booking, that how you structure your shows, how you structure your shows, like you have to cheer for these people really, really loud and the others, well, you do kind of what you want. But we want you to cheer for these. Looks like there's enough cheering for everyone. God damn, as if like a hot product will just be able to spread that energy around. And anyone who didn't think that, I don't know what to tell you. If you thought that Hangman would be in a worse position now because Bryan Danielson and CM Punk are in the company, I don't know what to tell you. You haven't been paying attention. I can only assume that it's people who don't watch the show and who pick up things on Twitter and create analyses based on that. Because I saw a lot of that regarding the G1 this week. No one talks about the no one talks about the G1 this week at all. Then all of a sudden, Chase Owens defeats Hiroshi Tanahashi, and everyone has an opinion about the G1. Like, you're not watching. I know you're not watching, because if you were watching, you would not be online complaining. And that's the only analysis I can come up with that makes any sense. Because I think if you're watching the show, if you're paying attention, if you're looking how their AEW's booking patterns are right now, and how they create a show for the live crowd, there is no way you could sit back and be like, I think they missed the boat on Adam Page. If anything, it's resembling how I wanted him to be booked. But I still would have had him I'd still have him win at Revolution, but they'll probably pull the trigger at the next pay-per-view, which is fine. Because then what do? Then here's the awesome thing. Kenny Omega is no longer fettered with a world championship in his ongoing feud with Bryan Danielson, and then they can have like a 1 hour pure style wrestling match or whatever. And isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing that you have too many big matches at your fingertips? My God. If only AEW could rerun the same matches week after week. Great Dynamite. I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited too. Hey, I'm going to wrap this up tonight talking about WoW Women of Wrestling that decided to come back. They're making a comeback. There was a press conference that was done yesterday, where basically WoW Women of Wrestling coming back will be returning to television by way of Viacom CBS in weekend syndication as of fall 2022, and their historical seasons, that's what it says in the press release, is being made available on Pluto TV and CW Seed. CWC. I have never heard of that. That'll be in December 2021. Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. He says, can you talk about the other WoW instead? World of Warcraft. No, does anyone want to start a guild raid? Does anyone want to raid? I've never played World of Warcraft. I played Warcraft. You know what? I was more of a StarCraft guy, to be honest. World of Warcraft never was my thing. So basically that's what it is. It's coming back. Let me read this exactly here. Viacom CBS announced today a new multi-year distribution agreement with Genie Bus, with the Genie Bus owned WOW Women of Wrestling, marking the return of the league to TV. WoW had been on Access TV from 2019 to 2020 till Access kicked them the fuck out. New episodes of WoW will launch in weekend syndication in the fall of 2022. Viacom CBS Global Distribution Group has already secured clearance in 160 markets, representing 70% of the United States, via licensing agreements with deals that include CBS owned and operated stations and Sinclair Broadcast Group, which is the same group that carries Ring of Honor. Historical seasons will be available on CW Seed and Pluto TV in December 2021. Now, this is the interesting thing here. If the name Genie Bus means something to you, she's the owner of the LA Lakers. They make very little mention of Dave McClain, who is the guy who has always been behind WoW, the original founder of Glow. And I think it's very interesting because Dave McClain doesn't necessarily have the greatest reputation. He's you know, he's the greatest car salesman of professional wrestling. I think he's one of the last great carnies, right? And I think it's interesting that they're really focusing on the fact that it's Jeannie Buss, a woman who is behind this. But, you know, and the wording in the press release is very interesting because they focus on Buss, but then they do have a comment from Dan Cohen, who is president of Viacom CBS Global Distribution Group. He says, quote, "We are thrilled to partner with Jeannie Buss and David McLean to create a significant global footprint for WOW and expand our diverse world-class portfolio." Okay, now the rest we get into corporate speak, and it's not very interesting. So that cool. So Dave McLean still is involved, and he's partnered, and like, it's not just Jeannie Buss who's in this. You know what this reminds me a lot of? It reminds me a lot of one, Cody Rhodes being able to secure money from a sports team owner to start up his wrestling promotion. So I kind of step back, I look at that and like, this is very interesting. Like, there's no real details. There's no chunks. We don't know what kind of money is involved. We don't know. But because here's the thing. I think that this is the kind of situation where if Dave McLean didn't have the backing of the owner of the Lakers, I don't think he'd be getting distribution on CBS, on Viacom's, on CBS weekend syndication, plus on Sinclair. I really don't. I don't think he'd be getting that kind of deal. Because McLean doesn't have that great a reputation. So I'm looking at this deal and I'm like, there's something very fascinating about this. Something that kind of echoes how AEW got their foothold in. And if we're getting Laker money to back this up, to back up this project, well, I'm very curious to see what kind of production this is going to turn into. So on that front, I'm excited. And I can only be open and excited if there is another outlet for women to go wrestle and have television exposure and make money. Make money doing what they love. You have to back that up. I do it with a certain level of reservation because Dave McLean. And, well, you know, Tessa Blanchard. I mean, it's not a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to me because Tessa was part of the previous incarnation of WOW, and she was a cornerstone, right? And they brought her in. And she's been doing the media rounds. She's been the face. They've been pushing it hard. I'm sure if you're hanging around Twitter these days, I'm sure you saw the T-shirt, Nuclear Heat. Like that. This is such. I get it. You're leaning into it, but it's that. No, it's not exactly tasteful. Not good. Tessa. See, the thing is that people say Tessa didn't apologize. Well, Tessa doesn't have to apologize. Yeah, well, not only did Tessa not apologize, she doubled down on it. You remember the speech that she gave after winning the Impact Championship, which is just a couple of days before, or I think the same day the allegations had popped out, or no, it was about a week before, if I'm not mistaken. And there was this leaked footage where she was basically doubling down and saying, you know, I've always worked my way. I don't need anyone, you know, no excuses. I'm like, okay. So she doesn't give a fuck. Why should I? I don't care. I don't care about Tessa. And it is a shame because she is a fantastic wrestler. But am I gonna throw my support into a promotion that is deciding to headline someone who's not only been racist, but has been an overt bully, that has been called out by multiple women, being belittled and insulted and bullied by her? think I'm good. It's a shame. It's a shame because then they bring in AJ Menendez. Mendez, AJ Mendez. Why did I say Menendez? Allergies? AJ Mendez, the former AJ Lee, right? And I am convinced, because Dave McLean is no moron. Because he knows. He brings in Tessa. He knows what he's doing. Brings in the complete and utter opposite. As far as public relations go, you bring in beloved wrestler AJ Lee, someone who has inspired women, someone who has who left the business way before her time, that people were dying for. Literally, the female CM Punk. We'll bring her in. Why? To counterbalance the Tessa stuff, unquestionably. They're bringing her in not to wrestle, but as an executive producer. She's going to be doing color commentary too. Of course, that's why he did it. Bringing AJ Lee. Everyone's excited to be AJ Lee. And I'm seeing tons of people. Congratulations, AJ. So fantastic. Then I see Izzy Mania, right? And she works for them now. She's like a correspondent, whatever. But she's on the payroll. And she's there hugging Tessa. And I'm like, Izzy, my God. I get it. Like, she wants to get ahead. She wants to do her thing. I'm glad she's getting opportunities, especially outside of WWE. Clearly, something happened and WWE didn't want to hang on to her, which is kind of weird to me. And this is where we're at. Wow feels snake bitten out of the gate. And it's not an environment it's not a promotion right now where I'm like, I'm all in, I'm invested, because Dave has a history of being very iffy. Just being a salesman, being a carny, nothing egregious, nothing's, out, I'm not trying to imply that he's been, that he's a criminal, that he's done salacious things. I don't know. I'm talking about, just being he's an old timer wrestler. He's been doing this from promoter. He's been doing this since the 80s. You can't take the carny out of the wrestler, out of the promoters at that point, Like if you read about the actual Glow, the one that was used as the inspiration for the television show, like the actual Glow stuff, you'll see some very, very distressing things, some very, very weird things. And then I'm like, okay, well, what does the rest of the roster look like? Okay, cool. So you look at the rest of the roster. The Beast is back. The Beast, that's her name, The Beast, because McLean likes his cartoonish shit. The women they're types, and they have names like The Beast. Willow Nightingale used to wrestle for him during the last incarnation, and her name was Eye Candy. Like it's borderline, like, my God. So we have The Beast, and okay, she's the champ. She was the champ when WoW shut down after they got kicked off of Access. Okay. Now we're moving on here. We've got Tessa Blanchard. All right, she's a star, unquestionably. She'll. Okay. Other. WoW. Oh, and they called the women superheroes, right? They're not superstars, not wrestlers. They're superheroes. Other WoW superheroes we can expect to see are Danny, Danni. Okay. Alex Gracia, who I think she was on the old show, but I don't think she was called Alex Gracia. I'm pretty sure she had like another goofy name that McLean came up with her. Brianna Montez, who I have no idea who that is. Kate Smith, who I don't know again who that is. And Emo Akpan, who, again, I have no idea who these women are. Good for them if they're getting work, but like these feel like, up and comers. Look, I don't know where he found these women. I don't know where they're coming from. We'll have to find out. But look, we'll have to see how this progresses. But there's a lot of things in this situation that just leaves a weird taste in my mouth. I'm glad that there's more opportunities for women to wrestle and get paid, but geez, it's all over the place, and I'm not convinced that this is I don't feel like there's a full support that I can throw behind this because of the people that are involved here. There's already some very weird decisions. JK Schwal, hi, how you doing? Left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He said, bold move hosting the presser during Dynamite 2. Yeah. Yup. That was a thing that happened too. I guess he thought he would drain all those delicious viewers away from AEW. I don't know. There you have it, folks. That was the weekly wrestling inspection. So, we're going to wrap this edition up, my dudes and dudettes. Give the video a like if you haven't already. Thank you very much. Give the video a review on your. Let's seriously do it. Like honestly, if you go on iTunes and you write Warren Hayes is a stupid head because he doesn't like Raw, and you give it 5 stars, I'm all for confusing people. I think it's great. You give a negative, your text is negative, but you give it 5 stars. I think that's dope. But thank you all. Look, thank you very much for your support. Thank you for coming and joining us live. If you're still with us live, member stream starts in just a few minutes. We're going to go talk about pro wrestling some more. Come and join us. Become a member. Support the show and come and we'll talk some more wrestling starting real soon. And there we go. Otherwise, I really hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. There's a lot of good. Hey, there's the big GCW shows this weekend, right? We've got Mox versus Gage on Saturday. We've got Joey Janela versus Minoru Suzuki on Sunday. Cardona and Effie is Saturday too, I think, right? And then we got Mercedes Martinez in GCW. She's fighting Alley Cat as well, I think, on Saturday. We got another great weekend of wrestling ahead of us. There's always great stuff going on. God, I'm glad the pandemic's done. Anyway, hope you have a great weekend. Regardless, folks, have a great time. Have a good one. Thank you all so much for showing up today, and we'll see you next time.